Hello everyone, it's me again, GW Fan the Softcore Brony, welcoming you back to Let's Play My Little Pony Fantasy 6. Ho, I have been waiting to do this video. And then I kind of had to wait a little longer because I realized I should probably finish my capstone project, which I've been neglecting for kind of a while now. Anyway, with that mostly done, honest, it is, I figured, hey, let's, come back here to the Veldt and, do a video since I actually have some time. So, yeah, I've just finished getting my last abilities for Pinkie. That last one I'm actually not going to be using, it turns out, but oh well. Anyway, up here on screen already, I should have a list of abilities that I'll be using, as this is my final preparations video. Oh, this is going to be, well, we're not actually going to get to Discord's Tower today, but, this is everything that you're going to need, with a few extra stuff here. Now, and before I get on to the rest of my real preparations, I figured I'd do a discussion of at least 3 items that I didn't really go into much detail about before. So, first thing, how about a little how to get, and a little bit about a special little item called the Merit Award. Alrighty, so I'm back in the Cloudesium once again for the final time, for real this time. And, well, before we actually get to the Merit Award, I acquired a couple of items that I realized I was going to need after a quick test run through the final dungeon. And so I have acquired a 6th Rainbow Band, and I also decided to turn in my Ragnarok for another Holy Avenger. So, I realized I'm not going to need it. So anyway, the Merit Award. To acquire it, we're going to have to be here in the Cloudesium. I've got Dash here under Float, and also with her usual setup, as always, except with the red headband this time. So anyway, and she's going to be healed, of course, once we get into there. We are going to, actually, I think I need to organize my items real quick. Yeah, that'll probably help, otherwise I think everything's going to be kind of mixed up. Anyway, we are going to bet a cat hood to get, well, the Merit Award. That's what it is. So yeah, we want Float to protect us from Quake, and otherwise we should be pretty good as long as she stays in the air. That's what he just did right now. That and the move called Crusher are the only things that can really hurt Dash. Otherwise, she's mostly invulnerable, including this, since it's a wind elemental attack. Haha, and it failed anyway. Nice. Ow. Okay, it might be a good idea to get in the air anytime now, Dash, or just kill him. Either one. Ow. Okay. Thank you. That was kind of close. That is a little tough. So we get the Merit Award, the almighty Merit Award. Well, not really almighty, but anyway, it's a relic. Doesn't have any special stats or anything to it. Any pony can equip it except for Derpy, apparently. I didn't realize that when last time I looked at it. Okay then, yeah. And, okay, I guess it does give a little bit. It's 2 to strength, 2 to magic power. I don't know if it ever did that before. I don't think I've ever acquired it in the original game, so I'm not sure if it did that before. Anyway, this is a item, relic here. It allows us to equip almost any piece of equipment here. See how Pinkie Pie has the Holy Avenger, and she can equip the Wonder, and, Scimitar, and Shinshinto, and all this other fun stuff. Not to mention, she can even equip Clover Robes, and the Red Gi, and, all kinds of cool stuff. Now, like I said, almost any kind of equipment. It's not going to allow her to, well, I don't have any of it, but a couple of things it will not permit, other than the pointed hat here. It will not let her, or let any pony equip any relics they couldn't already equip. So, Pinkie can't suddenly equip a Memento Band or something of that effect. Also, as she will not be able to equip any of the former female-only equipment from the original game, like the white dress and you know, tiaras and stuff like that. She also won't be able to equip any of the animal suits, which I also don't have, like the Nutkin suit and the Scootaloo suit and all that, which, you know, isn't really that big a deal. I think that was all of it, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, for the Merit Award in this game, it's kind of useless, really, because, well, besides the fact that it takes up a whole relic slot to use, the characters pretty much already use ideal weapons for, you know, what you want to use them for and all. And they all share all of the shields and helmets for the most part, so, you know, we don't really care about that. And otherwise, the only pony who really benefits from the Merit Award here is actually Faust, because there it is Faust, because she's the only pony who cannot equip either the Shining Armor or the Clover Robe. And even then, it's not really that useful, because, again, she has to take up a whole relic slot, and otherwise, I'm using essentially exactly what I wanted to have her with anyway, other than the armor there. I suppose otherwise the only other pony who can really benefit from it is Pinkie, because she can equip some unique items that she could use Cat Scratch with, but like the Kogarashis, which she can actually Cat Scratch enhance those Wind Slash attacks to do, you know, lots of damage there, but it's not really that useful, and, you know, it depends on if you actually get those. It's really only a little stronger than most multi-target abilities you can get. So, Merit Award, meh, not useful at all. That's what I say. Anyway, onwards to my next explanation. So, here's the best idea I've had all day. Let's talk about Fluttershy! Or, more specifically, the Wonder Knife, her ultimate weapon, which I pretty much glossed over before. So anyway, the Wonder Knife, filled with so many wonders. It's really a crazy little weapon. It has more special abilities than any other weapon in the game. For example, there, what it lists is only half of what it does. I think literally, if I'm not mistaken. Fight damage plus, it's the only weapon in the game that has that unique quality. Actually, now that I think about it, if the ultimate weapon had that, it probably would have been a heck of a lot more useful. I probably would have used that all the time. Anyway, otherwise it has auto counter, which, as I'm surmising at least, increases Fluttershy's already inherent counterattack rate to at least 50%. It seems like she practically always counterattacks if she's hit. But the other two abilities that are not listed with the Wonder Knife here, just like the Stunner from the original game, it has a 25% chance of casting Stop, which, you know, is always useful against, well, at least most random encounters anyway. And the other ability that's not listed that I actually didn't realize for a while was that it's also like, well, I don't have them anymore, but it's like the Death Notes, or the, the Sniper. It has that 50% chance of doing 1.5 times extra damage, and a 50% chance of doing 3 times normal damage to flying type enemies, or floating types, which is pretty darn cool for Fluttershy. It makes her the most effective fight command character, I'd say. So, let's see, otherwise, I guess that's really all I wanted to say about the Wonder Knife. It's pretty much like a really awesome weapon there. So, let's move on to the next item of interest here. Down here at my almost the bottom here, the Broken Seal, which, again, I didn't explain too extensively. Whoops, I kind of lost track of it in my notes there. Anyway, Broken Seal. Again, every pony except for Pinkie Pie and Derpy can equip it. It allows you to hit 4 times, which I've already displayed, with Bloom, who is probably the overall best character to use it, at the expense of having all physical damage, which, as I said before, includes the physical-based arts, Bushido's, tools, soar, and Fluttershy's throw commands, so long as she's not throwing skeins anyway. So once version 1.1 comes out, it's also going to retain the ability weapons like the Flame Tongues and the Thunderblades, for example, will retain their ability to have a 25% chance of casting, their element on them, which it does not do currently in this version or any other version of Final Fantasy VI for that matter. Otherwise, it's fairly good to use with, for example, the Scimitar, which even now it already can do instant death up to 4 times if you're fortunate. Or also with the Angel and the Assassin, it works just as well with those. And it's great for stealing. You'll have 8 chances to steal with the Switchblades and other items like that. So otherwise, I think I pretty much already told you the overall best weapon to use, which is Bloom with the Valor, which, by the way, is also going to get a slight upgrade in version 1.1. It's no longer going to have a battle power of 1. It's going to be raised to some level that I don't know of yet, and it's also not going to be able to ignore defense anymore. But I think that's not going to really affect its the power gains it gets from HP decreases, since that works like Rarity's Revenge ability. But otherwise, I don't know if this is going to be overall stronger than what you're going to ultimately see when I'm using it later in the next few videos. Anyway, only other weapon, or really only other ones that I really think are worthwhile every once in a while, is the Wonder Knife with Fluttershy, with a very particular setup. I have Fluttershy here with the Wonder, power gripping the Wonder, and the red headband and the gala dress, and of course I want to give her the broken seal as well, because it'll redo my, well, that one doesn't really matter, but yeah, it'll redo my things there. She's in the front row to do maximum damage because I want to find a flying enemy. It's which I can find right around here if I find a Harpy. As I said, 50% chance of doing getting 3 times normal damage against flying type enemies, enhanced by Berserk on Fluttershy. Don't attack Fluttershy, please. Thank you. I don't want you to counterattack. Hey, what's black and white and red all over? Your face! Ha-ha! Check that out! I love that. That is actually a really cool ability there. Very effective on any bosses that have that are floating. Well, most any. It's really a very situational ability, although it's technically the strongest thing you can do with it at the moment. Although, I mean, actually, it's even useful on the, very useful, in fact, on the 2nd and 3rd tiers of the final boss. Although, against Discord himself, not so great because he has such high defense. She can... Even with that 3 times damage, she only does like 2,000 points of damage. So unfortunately, I'm not actually going to be using that setup, even though I really wanted to. But anyway, with that out of the way, I suppose it's time to move on to my actual preparations, which is what this video is supposed to be about, right? Alrighty, so for my preparations, besides a whole bunch of equipment that I've been acquiring slowly throughout the game, I've also stocked up on a few items. Besides, well, one thing, Granny Smiths and also cupcakes, you can buy them, it turns out, in South Canterlot. I didn't know that because I never visit item shops. This is totally unique to this mod. It doesn't exist in any other version of the Final Fantasy VI. So, if you need these, get them. It should be relatively useful in the final dungeon. Even I'm gonna be using these and sarsaparillas here and there to power my heal my characters there. Other things I did, I stocked up on Ice Brands and Thunderblades and got a few Flame Tongues because unlike practically every other dungeon in the game. Fire is not actually that useful in the final dungeon, but these are all useful for Fluttershy to throw as elemental damage. Other things I stocked up on, I also got T-viruses, which I acquired by, did by stealing from the what are they called? The toe cutters from the Belt Cave, or the Rock Farm, I should say. And I also acquired all these tech stars, which I acquired by betting ninja stars in the Cloudesium. I believe, yeah, that's all for those things I got. Otherwise, I pretty much sold a whole bunch of my relics. I mean, I don't have any wing shoes anymore, or iron awards. I don't have my monocle, which may or may not be a bad thing. But otherwise, other thing I've done here, you'll notice, well, okay, apparently I need to fix that. That happened because of that battle with the Harpy I got in. Anyway, you'll notice now, which will be fixed again later, that my GP has a 1 at the end of it, because it'll work in conjunction with Rarity's sorcery ability, Level Question Pearl. As long as that's a 1, this will always work. Now, you might be thinking, well, once we get into a random encounter, that's going to be, you know, that's going to be messed up, right? Well, as it turns out, every single enemy in the final dungeon, Discord's Tower there, is just so happens to give you GP that is a multiple of 10. So that is going to stay at 1 for the entire dungeon. So Level Question Pearl, why is it not staying on it, is going to remain relevant for remain useful for the entire dungeon there. Which is, which is part of the reason I really wanted it, because it's pretty much the strongest move she's going to be using in there for, for that sort of purpose. Since, all these three, well, this is only going to be used one more time in the entire game, and I think we can only use these a couple more times. Not that they're really that useful, but yeah, this will be Rarity's main method of attack throughout the dungeon. Now, I think that pretty much sums up my overall preparations. So the only other question that remains is, well, for the final dungeon, we're going to have to form 3 parties, comprised, of course, of 4 ponies. So we're going to have be using 12 characters altogether, which is awesome. It's my favorite final dungeon of any Final Fantasy because of that aspect. I think the only other ones that come close are the final dungeon of Final Fantasy V, and I suppose the dungeon of Final Fantasy IV, too. Anyway, this poses a little problem because we have 14 characters, not 12. So, which 2 am I going to be leaving behind? Well, you may have noticed that throughout this video, I've been using Faust and Derpy because I decided that I'm going to be leaving these 2 behind, unfortunately. Being the secret characters and all, they're technically not part of the main story, though honestly Scootaloo barely is. She was only relevant for like that one part in the beginning. She's practically a secret character in herself. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be using just the main 12 characters for this dungeon. So, oh, right, one more thing regarding Faust and Derpy here. Just because I'm not using them doesn't mean that they don't fit into any of my parties. So, I'm going to tell you who they could have potentially replaced among all 3 parties as I'm discussing them. So, just to show a little variety that I might have, used if I wanted to use them. Other things to note. While you could potentially fully optimize one party and then, walk through the dungeon until they can't anymore, unequip them, switch to another party, and then fully optimize that one, I don't want to have to spend like 2 minutes doing that every single time I switch my parties. So I have enough equipment to distribute among my 3 parties to basically fully optimize them all at the same time. And they're not going to be, except for a few minor exceptions, they're not going to be sharing any equipment between them at all. One of those minor exceptions is the Gold Tiara, which I'm not even going to be equipped with initially, because even though it really is a great little item, normally if you're using a weight game. Since I've been using active and I'm going to continue to, I found that it tends to be more of a hindrance than a benefit in random encounters. So I'm basically only going to be using the Gold Tiara in boss fights. Only about 4 of them, I think, now that I think about it. So, party number 1 is Team Leftovers, because except for Rarity, that's kind of what they are, though not really. They really are strategically placed into this party, which is comprised of Princess Luna, Rarity, Sweetie Belle, and Rainbow Dash. Now, this team, well, really, I could have called it Team Holy, because that's kind of the basis of what they're capable of. Rarity has her level question Pearl. Luna, well, it turns out I didn't need to teach her Holy, so I wasted my time doing that. But she can use it. Sweetie Belle will be learning Holy while she's here. She should learn it by the time we're done, I think. And Rainbow Dash can also use Holy with the Holy Avenger and the Holy Lance eventually. Now, you'll notice that Sweetie Belle is equipped with the Chef's Hat. The reason she's equipped with that instead of the Fire Ruby is because of its status protection against specifically sleep, which will be very useful against the one boss that this team is going to be fighting. So, yeah, this team is not going to be doing a whole lot. They're going to be doing the overall least in the dungeon. They're going to have the overall easiest time, I suppose, because since they'll only be fighting one boss compared to the other 2 parties, which is, it's not necessarily a difficult boss, but it is very annoying, which is why these particular party members are in this team. Anyway, the only other thing to really say about this party, or actually not even this party, one more thing I should say specifically about Rarity. No matter how you decide to form your parties, do not ever put Rarity in party number 2. Allow me to repeat that and read it. Do not ever put Rarity in party number 2, because otherwise you're going to miss out on a one-time chance to get her final sorcery ability, which actually will be very useful once, not too long after we get it. Oh, right. And Faust and Derpy. If I were going to replace anyone in this party with Faust, it would probably be Luna, since she can use Arts better than her, because Arts is still going to be useful once I get to the boss anyway. Luna's mostly going to be using magic here, as it turns out, since she knows the big 3 and all that. And as for Derpy, I suppose I really would have her replace Dash if I were going to use her, though not necessarily, since Derpy can't power grip any spears, which I will eventually be using on Dash instead of the Holy Avenger. But otherwise, I would not have her replace Rarity, because we still have 3 more sorceries to learn, and I wouldn't have anyone replace Sweetie Belle, because the Chef's Hat is actually very useful in upcoming in this dungeon. So anyway, now moving on to the next party. Okay, and party number 2 is Team Bushido, because it pretty much revolves entirely around giving AJ enough time to charge her Bushido to the max. And yes, I will be using Zap Apple, which I very much underestimated before. It's actually quite awesome, and I will show you why with this party, comprised of Applejack, Trixie, Scootaloo, and Princess Celestia. So this team, well, first of all, Princess Celestia is on this team primarily because she is all about summons. I haven't taught her much of anything in the way of magic, as it turns out, which she will still be using a little bit, but mostly she's going to be using summons. And because for her, she can pretty much rely exclusively on Bahamut, Palador, Golem, and to a somewhat lesser extent, Carbuncle as well. For pretty much anything this dungeon has to throw at us, really. And the other good thing about that is the long charging times, which gives AJ plenty of time to use her Bushidos along with these two, because Scootaloo is either going to be dancing or soaring, which Scootaloo, as you can see, is equipped with a hero band so that she can do either one throughout the random encounters at least. And Trixie is either going to be using magic or using Unicorn in a couple choice moments as well, or at least one choice moment anyway. All of which gives AJ time to charge. This is strictly what it's about. AJ also has the Memento Band to protect her from instant death because, you know, some pony needs that. We will be encountering instant death here and there in this dungeon. Now, interesting thing about this team, inadvertently, it'll actually work a little better once version 1.1 comes out, because, well, Celestia's specific... Oops. Stop pressing that. Celestia's specific summon ability there will have quite a bit of a longer charge time once it comes out. Which gives AJ even more time to charge, really. The regular summons will still be the same amount, but Celestia's specific ability will be increased. So it actually is going to benefit AJ a bit whenever version 1.1 comes out. Now, among this party, I don't think I would necessarily replace Scootaloo with Derpy because of Scootaloo's versatility between using Dance and Soar there, both of which will be useful here. And but if I were to replace, well, if I were to put Faust on any party, it would be this one, replacing Trixie, because Faust has the one thing that this team could really use, which is the Debilitator on tools. Because this team is going to be fighting a total of 3 bosses in this upcoming dungeon, 2 of which are some of the trickier bosses because they have no elemental weaknesses at all. Although this team can pretty much easily handle it, as you'll see, especially once AJ starts really getting it on. Oh, I can't wait for this. So, alrighty then. And my final party is Team Awesome, not to be confused with the very awesome comic series of the same name. Yeah, this is my all-out powerhouse team. Definitely my overall strongest, I would say. Able to do a lot of damage very quickly. Comprised, of course, of my girl Fluttershy, Twilight Sparkle, Apple Bloom, and Pinkie Pie. Now, once this team gets started, Apple Bloom... Or I'm going to spin the very first battle, getting Apple Bloom's HP into critical levels, so that Fluttershy will be able to protect her with the power of the Paladin Shield, since Bloom is going to be using her Valor setup. With my favorite combination here, Fluttershy and Apple Bloom, the Valiant Shy combination or something. Anyway, of all the teams, this is the one I was going to have the Gold Tiara on, with Twilight there instead of a Rainbow Band. But again, because it's kind of a nuisance in random encounters, more so than a benefit, with active battle on, I decided to just go with the Rainbow Band instead. Let's see. Yeah, with this team, I don't know. I don't know if I really could put Faust on this team. She really can't replace Twilight because she's the only mage. Faust wouldn't be able to use magic, and she also wouldn't be able to use the summon command, which this team is, I think, I think they needed it at least once. So, yeah, and otherwise, I suppose, if any pony, I might have her replace Pinkie Pie. Since she's more suited to magic that way, it actually balances this team out slightly more, even though this is probably my overall most well-balanced team, I think, in my opinion. Just because they have a very good variety of physical and magical attacks. Anyway, if I were to replace any pony with Derpy, I think it would probably be Bloom, although I am going to really need Bloom for something later on, so it could potentially be Fluttershy as well. But if I were going to do that, then Bloom couldn't use her Valor. So this is the only team that I really might not be able to put those two on, really. It's just set up the way it is. So, yeah, that's it. Those are my 3 teams who I'm going to be taking into the final dungeon. Next time on Let's Play My Little Pony Fantasy 6. Arrivederci!